Hello there, my internet friends. How are you today? I'm so glad to hear that. What you're about to hear is a story I told during a recent live stream about my awkward and incredibly frustrating encounter with a Verizon tech who was sent to my home. You see, a couple weeks ago, my router, the thing that gives me access to the World Wide Web, completely crapped out, so I didn't have internet for 5 whole days. Verizon sent a new router to replace the old one, which also didn't work. How convenient. And then they sent a tech, and all the following transpired. This is taken from a recent live stream, like I said, so in order to make it flow better and remove a lot of the stupid crap, I took the audio, chopped it up, and pieced it back together. Should sound fine, but just in case something seems off or an inflection doesn't match, that's the reason why. And hey, if you want to watch something while you're listening to this, then here's some Call of Duty Ghosts mediocre, hitch-filled gameplay brought to you by my Verizon Fios connection. If you enjoy the video, then please be sure to hit the like button to let me know. Maybe leave a comment telling me what you thought of the story or if you've had any similar encounters. And if you're just stumbling across this video, then maybe consider subscribing for future content. Have a good one. I don't like dealing with people. I hate people. People suck. I'm an incredibly shy and cagey individual. I don't want to talk to anyone ever, but I'm the only one home during the day. I have to. I have to talk to this Verizon guy. He's going to give me internet. He's going to come in and sprinkle his magical internet dust all over everything, and things are going to work, so I'm just going to let it go. I'm going to get by my shyness and help this guy as best I can. Around 9 o'clock, I get a call from my internet tech, guy named Roy. Good old Roy from Verizon. And he says, I'll be there at like 1:30. Great. So I put a pot of coffee on because I've got to wait a while. Shows up at 1:30. And I hear a pitter-patter on the porch. But then I don't hear anything else. He doesn't knock. He doesn't do anything. He just kind of stands on my porch for a minute. And I kind of like waiting until people knock on the door. I feel like that's just a courtesy thing. So I'm just standing on the other side of the door like any minute now. So then he knocks on the door. And I open the door and I go, good afternoon. And he says, hey, I noticed you got one of these doorbells here. Yeah, I got one of them at my house. They're always falling off. I see you got it double taped on here. Yeah. Cool. No introduction. Like, no how you doing. No good afternoon. Nope. Just like, man, your doorbell. I don't know about you guys, but when it comes to customer service people, you are there to do a job. You are entering a stranger's home to help them with a problem and to fix something. That is priority number goddamn one. I understand that small talk is something that's going to happen. You don't want it to be extremely awkward. There's a stranger in your house. You want to talk a little bit, maybe. But that should be second. As long as you're concentrating on what you're doing and you want to make some small talk, I understand that. Makes perfect sense to me. He comes in the house, and I'm like, all right, kitchen's over here. And when you come to my front door, if you're trying to make a layout to rob me later, when you come to my front door, to the left is immediately the kitchen, and to the right is immediately the living room. I start walking to the kitchen, because I have unplugged the routers, and I put them on the kitchen table so that I can just show them to him and explain what's been going on. And he wanders off into the living room. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if I was walking into a stranger's home, you follow the stranger. You don't just wander around the house. So I signal like, no, in here. And I show him the routers. And I'm like, and I want to give him all the information. I want to tell him the full story. So I'm like, all right, here's the old router. About a week and a half ago, it completely crapped out. And he cuts me off and he's like, yeah, whatever. Just show me the new router. Great, cool. So I go, this is the new router. I plugged it in. Didn't work. But I noticed that the AC adapter on the old one, the little green light comes on. And the AC adapter on this one, it doesn't come on. So I think the problem is the AC adapter. This can be a really quick fix. I think the problem is the AC adapter. And he goes, all right, show me. I take the router upstairs to where it's supposed to go. And I plug it in. And nothing happens. The router doesn't come on. Doesn't work. No green light on the AC adapter. It's just dead. So he gets down on the floor and he like fiddles with it a little bit. And he's like, all right, I'm going to get back in my van, and I'm going to drive down the street to my storehouse, warehouse. I forget what he said exactly, but, like, where all the Verizon shit is. I'm going to drive down the street to my storehouse, and I'm going to get you a new router. And I respond with, all right, sounds good. Crosses his arms, leans up against the dresser, sees my mom's small bookcase in her room, which is full of pretty much rocker biographies, because my mom is really into rock music culture. Like, she pretty much knows everything there is about rock history and rock stuff. She loves it. So he crosses his arms, sees the books, and points at one and goes, Keith Richards. Yeah, that guy. Like, he was... Oh, I've read that book. He's like always... He was like on so many types of drugs and everything. Oh, is that other book over there? Like, I used to have a copy of that. Like, I read it and I really liked it, but I lost it. I can't even find it anywhere in my house. You know what I'm saying? And I think, what are you doing? Like, my immediate... Like, this is my worst nightmare as an introvert who hates people. Like, why are you standing there and having a conversation with me? You're supposed to be solving my problem. What are you doing? But, like, again, I'm too passive to just call him out. And he's not doing anything wrong. He's just being too talkative. And it's not a crime, right? So I go, yeah, all that stuff's my mom's. She's really into the Beatles. Like, the Beatles are her favorite thing ever, which is true. And he goes, let me tell you something. Like, back in the day, I listened to the Beatles once, and I gotta tell you, man, they're pretty overrated. I just don't really see the appeal of them. Like, they're all right. I just don't see the appeal of them. But I go, yeah, well, if my mom ever heard you say that, she would fight you in the street. And he goes, oh, does your mom live around here her whole life? And I went, yeah. And he goes, oh, how old's your mom? These are things you should be asking. Oh, well, I'm 63. Great age to be doing tech stuff. Like, oh, I'm 63. I've lived here my whole life as well. What's your last name? Anderson. What's your mom's maiden name? This other name. I mean, I was wondering if I knew her, because, like, if she lived in this area, then, like, I know a lot of people. There's this house, like, down the street that I always used to go to. Do you know the Robinsons? Do you know the Robinsons? No, I don't think I do. Well, I mean, they got this great house. It's across the street, down the street. Like, you know where the elementary school is? It's across from there. It's on the corner. I've always wanted to buy that house, but, like, it got off the market, and a bunch of other stuff that has nothing to do with your router. So, at this point, I think, if I don't start walking out of the room, he's not going to leave. So I walk out of the room, hoping he'll follow me like a dog. And he does. And he goes, all right, I'm going to head over to my storehouse and get you that new router. And I'm like, okay, sounds good. And I walk back into the living room to watch The Simpsons. And Roy follows me into the living room and stands there. And he goes, so, just you and your mom living here? I'm like, yeah. Looks at me. Looks at the floor. Looks at The Simpsons. All right, so I'm gonna go and get you that router. Like, all right, I'll be here. And he leaves. Comes back inside. You know, I just do this job for the AC in houses, right? Because it's hot outside. Cool. Follows me upstairs. He's like, oh, have you lived here your whole life? Yeah. What year you graduate? 2008. Oh, well, how old does that make you? 23. Oh, I got a daughter who's 28 and a son who's 20, so you're right in the middle. What this has to do with getting your internet working, I'm not quite sure. But he brings a new router. It's all I wanted. And he plugs it in. And the magical green light comes on the little AC adapter, and the router starts getting power and starts booting up, and I'm like, internet! Oh, it's so good! I could finally stop living in the Stone Ages. But, unfortunately, the back of the router, I don't know if you guys have ever seen a router, it has a bunch of plugs in it. Now, when I unplugged the old router, I laid them out in an order. I don't know exactly which one goes to what, but I know how they go in the router. He just plugged in the cords where the fuck ever, so no internet light came on. Like, the router was on. The router had lights a-blinking, but the light next to the word internet was not on. How did Roy know this? He noticed that a light wasn't on, and he said, hey, can you come over here and help me? Because I can't see what the words are. I forgot my glasses. I haven't been in the retail business in a while, but I'm pretty sure being able to see when you're helping someone's probably important. And then we proceed to sit there and wait for the internet fairy to come and sprinkle her pixie dust to make the internet happen for about 10 goddamn minutes. He doesn't unplug cables, he doesn't try something, he doesn't flick it on and off. We sit there and wait and hope it works. That's the plan. So then he starts finagling, just plugging whatever haphazardly. So he sees a yellow Ethernet cord. He's like, where does this run? And I go, I don't know. And he starts to try and follow it, and he can't. He gets lost on the way. He can't follow it. So I try to follow it, and it's 2 feet away. It's plugged into my mom's desktop. That's the Ethernet cord that gives my mom's computer internet. It's not the internet cord. It's the one that gives her computer internet. And I go, yeah, this... And I go, oh, this yellow cord actually plugs into my mom's desktop. And he goes, oh, so you had it hooked up wrong. You motherfucker. You son of a bitch. So I act like I kind of have to leave the room for something, and I leave. Like, he can figure it out. I'm not hanging out in the room with him the entire time. Well, I go downstairs to kind of half listen to The Simpsons. I'm also standing at the bottom of the stairs, and I'm eavesdropping on him. Because, yeah, he's a stranger in my house, and I'm a paranoid sack of shit, but also because I want to, in case he ever calls for me, I want to be able to come upstairs. At a point, I hear this voice, and it's a voice that sounds kind of familiar, and I listen, and the voice is saying, thank you for calling Verizon customer service. Your call is important to us. Please wait on the line. So he called fucking customer service. Not a special tech line. He's called the same fucking people that you and I would call. So the lady on the other end of the line picks up. And he goes, I've got this light, but I don't have the internet light. And she tells him the stuff that she tells everyone else who's ever called her. Turn it on and off. Unplug it and plug it back in after 30 seconds. And the woman's like, well, I'm not really sure what the problem is. We're not seeing the router on our end, so yeah. And he proceeds to say something that caused me to get so goddamn angry I had to walk away for a minute. Roy said to the lady, I don't know what the problem is. Either there's something wrong with the cables, or the guy messed with stuff when I wasn't here. The guy being me. Now, keep in mind, when the first router didn't work, he took it with him. The only things there were cables. So either you're doing something wrong, or, in the 10 minutes since you left to go get the replacement, I kicked in some drywall and fucked with the cables. And then all of a sudden, I hear something. I hear something else. And he says to the lady, the one who's trying to help him do his job, he says, hold on, my son's calling. His cell phone was ringing. That's what I heard. So he put her on hold, muted her, and picked up the phone and started talking to his 20-year-old son. Now, maybe it was an emergency, you're thinking. Oh my god, someone's in the hospital. He picked up his phone. Yeah. You know what the phone call was about? Because I listened to it. I eavesdropped on him. His son apparently lost his debit card a while back, and he wanted to know how long that his father thought it would take for Chase to send him a new one. 10 minutes. 10 minutes talking on the phone with his son about debit cards. He says to the lady, well, what if I get another router in I have another router in my truck. So, like, what if I go out and get that one? You think that'll work? And the lady goes, oh, yeah, you may as well try it. So he runs down the stairs. He goes outside to his van. He grabs the other router. He comes back upstairs. And he goes upstairs and he plugs it in. Now, this time, apparently he got mighty lucky because the light came on. The internet light actually turned on this time. And he's like, all right, the internet light is on. We're good, right? And the lady on the phone, who also isn't the smartest apple in the rose bush, says, we're not seeing the router on our end, so they're not actually getting internet yet. Try turning it on and off. Try pulling the plug out and pulling it back. Try hitting the reset button. And he does all of that, and he continues to tell her that the internet light is on. And she's saying, they don't have internet. They don't have internet. They don't have internet. We don't see the router on our end. They don't have internet. And Roy, even though Roy is insisting the internet light is on, no, we can't possibly have internet. Seems like their phone call is wrapping up, so I start heading upstairs. And I walk in and go, so how's the internet looking? And Roy, who is literally at this point laying on the floor like a Victoria's Secret model, says, not good. How many TVs you got in the house? I'm not sure how that's relevant, but 6. And he's like, okay. I'm gonna have to call some people. I'm gonna have to call my manager, because I'm gonna be here a while. This is taking longer than I thought it would, so I'm gonna have to call my manager. Then his phone starts ringing. So Roy goes downstairs out the front door to take his phone call. Just for shits and giggles, I grab my iPad. I look for networks. Oh, look, there's the router. Oh, it needs a password. I go over to the router, read the password, type in the password. Oh, look! Internet! Imagine that. How crazy. That's weird. The light says we have internet, and we have internet. Bizarre. Pull out my phone. Same thing. Type in, it looks for the router, finds the router instantly. Type in the password. Oh, look, internet. Oh, there's internet. Imagine that. And so I go downstairs to tell Roy it's working, you can go. So I go outside, he's off the phone at this point. And I go, so I typed in the internet, I typed in the password and everything seems to be ring, ring, ring. Oh, you got another call, I'll wait. Roy follows me into the house, and I go upstairs, and I show him my iPad with a web page on it, and I go, yeah, the internet seems to be working. I typed in the password, it's working. And he goes, no, you gotta show me on, something else. Show me on this other iPad, which is my mom's iPad, which is in the room. I take my mother's iPad, and I type in the thing, and I type in the password, and the internet comes on. I show it to Roy, and I go, yeah, internet's on, it's working. And he just kind of like half-heartedly goes like, And he starts screwing around on his tablet, which is, it's like a tablet that he brought with him. It's got stuff on it that I guess Verizon installed. And he starts messing around on the tablet. And I'm just standing there just like, okay, like, at a point I'm like, maybe he didn't hear me or he misunderstood. So I go to my mom's computer, and I turn on the monitor, and I bring up Internet Explorer because she still uses that. And I typed in some web pages, and it totally worked. All of them came on. Amazon, GameSpot, IGN, Pornhub. So I go, yeah, it's still working. And he goes, just screwing around on his tablet. Pretty sure he just used the internet on my internet on his tablet for like 5 to 10 minutes. And then he kind of like just defeatedly confused, like with his head down goes, take care, and leaves the house. So it basically took an hour and a half to diagnose the AC adapter's broken, get a new one.